Today, adversarial states are no longer relying exclusively on their own intelligence officers to conduct operations abroad. Governments are renting existing criminal proxy architectures to execute kinetic attacks on Western soil. This creates distance from the target and breaks the attribution chain. This forces a complete recalibration of institutional security. A local criminal offering surveillance or disruption services can no longer be assumed to lack a state-level military handler. The Department of Justice recently charged an Iraqi national with directing a network tasked with bombing Jewish institutions across the US and the UK. The suspect, Mohammed Bakr Saad al-Saadi, is an alleged senior commander in Kataib Hezbollah. His network's logistics and recruitment operations run directly under the command of the IRGC Quds Force. The architecture insulated the top layer. IRGC Quds Force commanded, Kataib Hezbollah intermediated, and cartel brokers recruited local operatives. But the plot collapsed when one recruited operative was revealed as federal law enforcement. The architecture itself, however, was sound. While the U.S. operations were dismantled, parallel operations targeting the same demographics in London ran uninterrupted, resulting in arson and stabbing attacks. Security directors managing community institutions must operate under a revised threat model. The local street-level threat may now be directed by a foreign military intelligence apparatus. In the Middle East, state-aligned groups are bypassing legacy air defense grids entirely by exploiting asymmetric navigation routes. This tactical map shows how a drone recently struck the Baraka nuclear plant on the Abu Dhabi coast. It evaded the primary eastern and southern intercept coverage by flying in through an unmonitored approach corridor on the western Saudi border. In Eastern Europe, the strategy shifts from evasion to absolute saturation. Ukraine launched more than 500 drones across 14 Russian regions in a single night. Debris from intercepted drones landed directly on the grounds of Sheremetyevo Airport. Against the most layered defense grid in Russia, the objective is not that every drone survives, but that enough survive to drain the interceptors. Kinetic advantage relies less on stealth technology and more on exploiting geographic blind spots and overwhelming localized defensive resources through sheer volume. Deep in the Iraqi desert, 2 covert forward operating bases used for logistics operations targeting Iran were quickly dismantled. The exposure didn't come from counterintelligence, but from a chance firefight with a local shepherd. In the Indo-Pacific, Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te reaffirmed the island's reliance on U.S. security cooperation after China concluded a 72-hour encirclement exercise utilizing 91 aircraft. In London, the Metropolitan Police deployed 4,000 officers at a cost of £4.5 million to manage simultaneous mass rallies. The serious violence that weekend happened elsewhere, a targeted vehicular assault over political flags in Birmingham. And the recent Trump-Xi summit concluded with billions in agricultural trade agreements, leaving major security flashpoints like Iran and Taiwan completely unresolved. Total operational control remains impossible. Human unpredictability and the systemic drain on public resources act as heavy variables in both covert missions and domestic security operations. The common denominator across the U.S. bombings plot, the drone strike in Abu Dhabi, and the exposed desert bases in Iraq is how the vulnerability was introduced. In every instance, the exposure came from a vector the security system wasn't programmed to monitor. For continuous strategic updates on evolving global threat models, subscribe to the briefing at circuit-magazine.com.